Supporters say 4,000 jobs depend on it. It brings £100 million to the economy each year. But is the price we pay for that just too high? Grouse shooting. Goathland in the North York Moors, the latest place in a catalogue of wildlife crime connected to shooting. In this case, the recent killing of a rare goshawk. It is not something those involved in grouse shooting want to talk about.
There was a goshawk killed on these moors by a keeper. We're just wondering what your views are about that kind of thing happening on them.
I've got no knowledge of it.
You don't know anything about it? Well, I'll tell you, the police are prosecuting. There was somebody, a keeper killed a goshawk. We're trying to get the views of the shooting community about the killing of raptors, of protected birds, in order to preserve grouse numbers. Do you have a view about that?
Now to see, now to say, as gamekeepers and beaters prepare for another shoot near Goathland. We leave them, snaking in convoy onto the moors to begin the shoot. Because we have our own rendezvous at a lonely moorland ford. This man can't be identified. We head off over the moor.
Walking over the moors, a friend and I discovered 3 pigeon lofts, and close to each loft was an associated trap.
They were suspicious, so they wired the area with secret cameras.
3 jackdaws had been placed into the trap as bait, and a goshawk was then seen to enter the trap. The following morning, on camera, he held the goshawk down with a stick and then proceeded to kill the bird and stuff it into a sack.
The dead jackdaws casually thrown away in the beck.
It is a bit depressing when you walk on these moors and you see not as much wildlife as perhaps there ought to be. Well, rather than doing nothing, which is the easy option, it's about time that, people stood up for our wildlife.
Well, this is intriguing.
Not far away, we come upon another pigeon loft, like the one close to where the goshawk was killed. Curiously, all this just a few hundred yards from the forest over there, where, of course, raptors like goshawks would live. Now, the shoot says that this is simply diversionary feeding. We put pigeons here so the goshawks come from the forest and eat them and not grouse. Fair enough. Well, fair enough, except for just one inconvenience. And that inconvenience is just over here. A large trap which will be used for one thing and one thing only, and that is trapping wild birds. In short, precisely the setup used to kill the goshawk nearby. BH Sporting runs this grouse shoot. They insist the trap is legally operated. They say they would wholly condemn any illegal activity by any of their employees. But these moors are owned by the Queen, managed by her agent, the Duchy of Lancaster. They also condemn criminal activity, but they say if there's a prosecution, BH Sporting's lease of the moor could be forfeited. The police told us a gamekeeper will soon be prosecuted for killing the goshawk. Prices for grouse shooting this month range up to more than £33,000 per day per group, plus VAT. Big money, demanding big numbers of grouse, and some keepers clearly killing anything, everything, to produce one thing: grouse.
I don't seem to see anything other than grouse. Everything seems to have to go for the grouse.
Local people are so fed up, they've launched an action group. A sheep caught in a gamekeeper's trap brought matters to a head, along with the days of smog caused every year by burning the moors so grouse can feed off the new heather shoots.
Think of what comes off burning heather. It's not just carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide that is released. There's all sorts of nasty, tarry gases. So who knows what effect that is having on our health.
We see a growing number of people coming out and saying we have to change the way things are. We can't go on burning precious peatland habitat and killing off native wildlife like goshawk and other birds of prey just to support grouse for shooting.
So we wanted to get the shooting party's side of the story.
We're just asking people about the killing of raptors on the moors, the killing of the goshawk. Do you have a view on that?
I don't know nothing about it.
You don't know anything about it?
Oh, then.
Nobody seems to know about it. a goshawk was killed on these moors.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Right, where's your proof?
Right, we'll be leaving now and we
don't
will be
think- I don't
passing
think
through a
you
private
can see
farm
it.
where you cannot follow us.
The Moorland Association, which represents grouse shooting, didn't return our calls, but we can now reveal that the Queen's own agent, the Duchy of Lancaster, which owns these moors, wants a different future. We have letters from the Duchy showing they want to work with banned blood sports on Yorkshire moors to move away from grouse shooting and promote biodiversity. There are potentially interesting opportunities alongside traditional moorland activities involving carbon capture, improved biodiversity and tree planting that we will be exploring.
The Duchy have been quite clear that the investment for this moor and moors like this moor is going to come from things like carbon banking, where the peatland is restored and people, commercial businesses, offset their carbon by funding good land management.
Moors burnt to cinders every year, rare birds of prey destroyed, farm livestock trapped, domestic pets poisoned. Across Britain, the issue of licensing and policing an industry accused of failing to police itself is gathering pace.